Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with InsideTheU. Thanks for stopping by. Just got done watching some of the Miami Hurricanes basketball team in their first official practice as they prepare for the season opener on November 3rd against Jacksonville. A lot of new faces. Jay Lucas, his coaching staff, 13 new players, entire roster is all new. So Coach Lucas spoke to reporters before practice started, and certainly he's excited about everything that is to come here, and certainly glad to have the opportunity. But one of the things that stood out to me as he was talking was he talked about this team based on the observations he had in off-season workouts and what he knows of this team. He believes it's going to be a very versatile team, and he feels like they're going to be able to be this all-around team that could do a lot of different things, whether it's press or, where you can play man or zone or different things offensively as well. So that took me by surprise a little bit, but that just shows his confidence in what he thinks he has in this roster. And I think that could certainly make for some interesting games during the season. As he mentioned, he feels like he can kind of change things up based on the opponents, and certainly all coaches would like to be able to do that. So that'll be something to watch for, but everything will be in terms of Coach Lucas. Not just that he's new at Miami, but he's a new head coach. So how will it all work? How will he adjust to all of this? I think that's going to be interesting. And there's some really intriguing non-conference games in the first couple months of the season before conference play really gets going in January. Had a chance to watch some of practice, as I mentioned, and just a few observations of what I had to see today. I just think it's interesting for me watching a lot of new drills. So today, as they got going and some things that they worked on, a lot of ball handling drills, some defensive slides, and just swinging the ball on the perimeter, things like that, kind of basic stuff. I will be showing video of this, so you'll get a chance to see what they look like, all these new players as you get to know them. But certainly, this team is going to be led by point guard Trey Donaldson, transfer from Michigan, and then also power forward Malik Renault, a guy that was at Indiana last year. So those will be the two key guys, and I think it's going to be important to kind of watch how they work together. I think they'll be involved quite a bit. I think Trey's going to have the ball in his hands quite a bit to be able to make plays, which is a little bit different than how he was used at Michigan last season. But I think it's going to be, this team is going to be really reliant on how Trey performs on both ends of the floor. This team Jay Lucas wants this team to be a good defensive team. And look, he did say that with so many new faces, a new program, it's going to take some time to get everybody on the same page. And I think that'll be something to watch for. But defensively, I asked Trey about his defensive prowess and just kind of his mentality. And remember, this is a guy that played football in high school and has that toughness, and he showed it at Michigan. So I think it's important, him on ball, being able to guard the opposing point guard. And he said, look, it kind of essentially sets the tone defensively for the team. So he understands that. Certainly a key leader, and offensively as well. I think he's going to be one of their top scorers. Certainly with Malik, I would expect him to be the team's top scorer this year. I think he's been good offensively at Indiana, being able to score in the low block. A left-handed player always makes things difficult. I think it'll be interesting to kind of watch how he kind of develops maybe more of a mid-range game, or if he's going to stretch out his shooting ability to the perimeter, be able to knock down the stuff there. But I think he's going to be a guy that you can kind of give the ball to on some handoff situations, maybe some playmaking type opportunities for Malik, but they really need a big season out of Malik. So I'll be interested to see how he does today. Just kind of watching him go through drills. He's just a guy that looks good, just a skilled player, and certainly he has a lot of opportunities with this team, and like I said, they definitely need him to be good. A few other three guys that stand out to me, kind of had a chance to watch with them here. I think center Ernest Udeh from TCU is going to be an important player, not just for this season, but I think, again, as I've mentioned before with Jay Lucas and his philosophy, he really wants that defensive-minded center, a guy that can, provide that rim presence, but also on the offensive end, he wants a guy that can be able to catch lobs and finish there, and I think Ernest can do that. Ernest is an energetic guy. He's one of these high personality guys, and I think the teammates will gravitate towards him, and as I've seen kind of being here in the summer a little bit, but I think Ernest certainly would be a key point for this team defensively, and then also some things that he can do offensively as well. And then two other guys I think kind of rounding out the starting five, my projected starting five as it looks right now. I would expect True Washington kind of slide in that 2-guard spot, kind of a glue piece in a sense, but a guy that can defend but also knock down threes. And I think they need three-point shooting on this team. That'll be something I'll be monitoring throughout the year, but certainly I think there is a little bit of a question mark in terms of how well they're going to shoot the three ball, and so we'll see. But I think True can provide some of that. And then I think Shelton Henderson, freshman, a guy that was highly regarded coming in. He was previously with Duke, and then as soon as Jay got the job, soon after, Shelton came to Miami. I think he's going to start at the 3 spot, and watching him today at practice, he clearly stands out. I had a chance to watch him in high school too, so I wasn't overly surprised, but definitely a big upper body, just a physical guy there, gets downhill. Players talked about it as well, but that's his game. He gets downhill, he's very athletic. Before practice started, he was one of the guys that was out there kind of working on his jump shot. And I think that's going to be something for him. That's going to be the biggest thing for him, I think, just in his development. Be able to knock down some, not just the three-pointer, but be able to knock down some shots in the mid-range, and not just be a guy that only gets out in transition and finishes at the rim, which I think he's going to be great at. But he's got to, make sure he's developing that half-court game as well. And then defensively, making sure he's rebounding, that's certainly going to be big, and guarding the ball. Another thing for him and a lot of these guys, I thought they struggled a little bit today just in the ball handling drill. And I think maybe that could be something to watch for outside of Trey at the point guard spot, but just how well the wing guys handle the ball. I think that'll be something to watch for. So at one point, just an example, they kind of stopped the drill, kind of reminded them to go a little bit slower on the drill, and then kind of push forward. So first day, but that was something I noticed. Just another thing, kind of pass on something I noticed, and when they kind of split up in practice with the guards on one end of the floor, working there, and then the big guys on the other end. There were only three front court players working on their drills together. Uday, as I mentioned, and Malik, obviously, but Altunis was the other guy as well. So as it stands, that's kind of where the team looks, where it's you got your three big guys, and I think those guys will kind of rotate in together. We'll see how they go moving forward, if they're going to kind of bring some of these big wings, if they're going to kind of play a 4 spot for Miami this year. And with what Coach Lucas had to say, he believes they're versatile, so that'll be something to kind of watch for moving forward if guys kind of move around and kind of play different spots. But just wanted to pass that along. I'll provide as many updates as I can heading into this season. Not sure how much access we'll get leading up to the season opener on November 3rd, but if there's an opportunity to be out here, I will definitely be out here. But I want to thank everybody for your support. If you have any questions about the team, definitely drop in the comments below, or let me know what you think of this team. How excited are you with this new regime here, a completely new look of Miami basketball. But thanks for watching, thanks for your support. Have a good rest of the day, and take care.